What's going on, Sandman here? This is going to be a full run, so this is like a full match of Ghost of Tabor, start to finish, no edits, no cuts, just to kind of showcase, and this is already played, so I'm just going to just put my thought process in on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, etc. So I recognize this spawn, and initially what I'm going to do is, as I normally do, I'll push what I think is the next closest spawn point, and that happens to be that tower out in the distance on the left. And I'm contemplating whether I'm going to push it direct, like on the beach side, or if I'm going to push it through the prison. Now, the problem with pushing through the prison for me is that I know that there's a spawn point straight ahead to the tower, but I also know that there's a spawn point to my right, kind of like in that general direction, like the front squeaky gate of the prison. So I'm kind of trying to watch my right, but at the same time push as aggressively as I can towards where I know at least one person would have spawned or should have spawned, and I'll clean the area if I don't see any. See, I see one right here, and then I always just want to be extra cautious because there's 3-man teams. Alright, so I see I got 2. I'm trying to see if there's any third. At this point, I'm just looking through, throwing some bodies around and inspecting to see what they had, trying to get a quick view on him here. And I take his laser, put it in my bag, and that's it. So okay, now at this point, I'm going to route up the hill. I'm going to take a look at the front squeaky that I was talking about, those doors. Over there in that direction, there's, like, they'll normally either move towards the center point, or they'll, like, come towards me from that direction. They'll push in to the right, so I'm going to try to see if I can get up on the hill to see both that center point and the squeaky section to see if I run into anyone over there. So from here, I'm not really seeing anyone. I thought I saw something in the distance there, but I'm not. There's a possibility it could be, because someone could come from, so you hear those shots? So someone could come from like the church side, and there's a guy right here up on the top. Let's see if I can land those shots. That's what I'm trying to do here. I was trying to land those shots. What I would say is, this guy that I'm shooting at now, I feel like he's either come from that church side, or he was pushing towards that church side and engaging someone near that church side. The guy I'm shooting on the low is AI. The high side definitely was a player. I'm checking the ammo count. Not too bad. I've burned a couple of rounds on that magazine though, so I'm not a fan of it. And checking to make sure everything clicks right, and I'm gonna sweep this building. AI. Now, during this specific sweep process, I was a bit nervous because I knew that I had engaged somebody that was on the side where I just threw the smoke at. And what I didn't want was that person still be alive and start peeking in this area extra because he heard the shots in his general direction. So I tried to throw a smoke maybe to dissipate a little bit of his view and then get the fuck out. And what I end up doing is I don't want to reapproach Squeaky. I feel like I've cleaned a good path otherwise, so I try to run a different route. I don't want to draw a ton of attention to myself, so I'm going to sweep the cells because I hadn't sweeped any of the cells, and then I'm probably at this point going to route back up the hill that I came from, almost like tracing my footsteps back, if that makes sense. Right, so running back now. Routing almost completely back. Just double checking because I hadn't looked in that section before from those two guys I had killed. I'm looking to see if the skull's in there. Nothing's in there. And then I pretty much just route back up the hill towards that section where I was taking those sniper shots to that guy, run towards church, and then maybe go from church to research, etc., etc. Initially on these spawns, everybody and their mother runs research. And, I mean, it's great if that's what you want to do, but it's not a necessity to constantly have to do it. At least for me, it's not something that I feel like I want to do all the time. So I rather play with a little more patience, a little more reserved, and take my time kind of sweeping areas, looking around, and seeing how I'm going to move on everything. Alright, at this point, this is my decision to move on the structure and see if I can get some water, get some food, and pretty much just try to loot the structure for myself because I'm not really seeing the third team, and I don't know if the third team's actually in the structure or if they are further out and at church. All right, this is a pit stop for me because I felt like it's been clear enough that I can just make a quick little stop in here. Check those lockers. Sometimes there's like 1 or 2 good weapons there. Check those lockers. It seems like it's hit or miss, but right here, this magazine is 2,500, so I'll keep that mag. It's 2,500 to Shiro, assuming I can keep it in the bag. But yeah, so what I will do is I'll normally sweep sections like this, and then from here I would route to, and I keep a lot of these smokes and grenades because every single one's about $1,000. The computer fan's $1,000. That little grip right there that I grabbed is, I want to say, about $5,000. So for me, the name of the game is normally money and not so much anything else. I know a lot of people play different for different things, etc., etc. But for me, it was the name of the game is all money. So as you can see, right now though, I do like having some good parts on my M4, so I'm just gonna put a better grip on it. I like that grip a bit more. It's honestly probably one of my favorites. I know the best one is that angled grip that like sticks out to the side, but I honestly prefer these grips. Even though I think the angle does reduce recoil better. And whenever you change anything, it always feels like the rear sight posts on the M4 pop up again. You have to like readjust your sight back on it. But again, so the goal here is going to be to press, like I had stated earlier, go church, sweep church, maybe go research, and then from there I'll figure out where I'm going to go. What I try to do here is I'm obviously drinking, but what I don't want to do is I realize I don't want to take it with me, so I want to leave it on the ground here, but I want to leave it somewhere that's not clear in sight. A lot of times, you know, you'll see certain things might be like a broadcast that someone's around it. So for instance, let's say someone had walked past this area prior, and then when they run back, they see that there's a water bottle in the street. They know it's not their water bottle, and they know that I may not have come through the direction they came through, so they may be able to figure out, like, he's going up this way. Or maybe somebody's been tracking me, they kind of lost me, and then they see the water bottle, bright blue water bottle, just like right in the street. That'll be like a broadcast to like, hey, this is where this guy's going. So I try to avoid that. So when I first get to this area, I always like to check garage first, then under garage, and then I like to come back up. Especially if it's been a little bit of time, because what I'll do is I'll check here if no one's hit here. And normally I also close the door behind me, but this time I didn't. When I first walk into garage from that side, I would normally close the doors at least behind me a little bit. I do the same when I go into like some of these other rooms and sections. I normally like to close the door behind me a little. Heal up because I did take a little bit of damage from him. Still looting. What I normally do is I will check to see if the orange door downstairs has been looted. And right now what I'm doing is kind of just organize, like, damn, that magazine's fucking fully empty, so I'm just gonna reload that one. That was the mag I had used earlier in the engagements and had hot swapped out. But yeah, so normally I would go downstairs from here and look to see orange room, see if orange room is hit or not. And I would normally also maybe peek orange or sweep orange. Sometimes you'll catch people almost like heading to orange. I've only done that, I want to say I've caught maybe 2-3 people doing that, like orange run, which is, it's rare, but the fact that it's happened twice is already kind of like kind of wild, you know. So because it's rare for people to use the orange door to begin with, it feels like. So I peek orange, I'll look around, I'll just sweep this section. And if anything else, even if I don't catch anyone, it lets me know that that's an exfil point I can use, because that exfil is always active. That's an exfil point I can use that somebody else has already opened up for, because you don't have to be the one to open it to use the exfil. So, and I would keep normally these, even though you never know when you need food, and that's like a $600 little thing there. I don't know how much these are. I know they're pretty cheap, but I'll keep a little extra food, a little extra water, because you do get thirsty and hungry running around. And I'll sweep these little locations. Sometimes I'll keep like a little extra water. I'll just drink it, depending on what my percentages look like. And I think here what I end up doing is I end up taking the food and the water, and I just eat you always eat the food first and then drink the water after, because if you eat, you get thirsty, but if you drink, you don't get hungry, if that makes sense. So, yeah. At this point, I had heard the gunshot. I had definitely heard that, and I knew for a fact at that point that was a player, not a scav. So, cut out this way, looking around. I saw him right on the crest hill line. To me, that means he came from my direction and went up, because I came from that direction. I swept that area. I feel like I would have ran into him if he was at church, which wouldn't make sense. Why would he be leaving from here towards church? So I figured he maybe looted something here in this area, and what I wanted to do was cut him off between church and the exfil point, because I know there's an exfil point on the street. And what I didn't want to do was go straight to church, because he may not be going straight to church. But at the same time, I just wanted to be cautious and make sure that I wasn't following a group of people and not just one person. And I peeked church real quick, right? I didn't notice him. I noticed him crest the hill line right here, and I know for a fact he's ignoring church. He's going straight to exfil. So he probably does have something with how he's playing. He's not taking his time. He's not, like sweeping. He's fucking beelining it to the exfil right now. So he probably does have something on him. So I'm trying to do more of the same in like speeding up to try to keep up with them and try to see if I can catch him at exfil for the most part. So that was my goal here, was just to try to maintain high ground and at the same time see if I can catch up with them and get any clean shots, which I definitely do at this point. I throw a couple of rounds down the range. At this point, I'm just throwing a few rounds. He's dead. I did manage to kill him on that one. Empty mag. All right, we refill. Reload, and now we push to see what he has. Alright, I'm looking. Alright, I see he's got an and I see he's got a lot of shit, so I'm gonna switch out. And I see he's got the top tier armor, and he's got a really good helmet. I'm going to put his helmet on because I don't have any helmet. I'm going to take the magazine out of this and just stuff it in here. I'm going to take his put it on. Take his deagle, try to stuff it in the book bag somehow. There it is. And what I want to do is, I don't want to spend too much time here. I just took a lot of shots. I just killed a guy here. I made a lot of noise. He made a lot of noise. He made a lot of noise prior. So if anybody had heard the first engagement, now they can catch me on the second engagement. So I'm going to heal because I took a little damage in that fight. And I'm just going to keep moving. What I don't want to do is get stuck looking at a bag for fucking 5-10 minutes and get murdered. So I did leave my bag there, which did have, you know, a couple of grips and a couple of other things, but I did notice this guy had night vision and some other stuff on there, and I didn't want to risk it. What I could have did easily was put his book bag on, grab my book bag with the left hand, and run also. That would have been worth it, but I felt like there was still some players around because I felt like he was engaging someone, and I didn't notice exactly where. I did see a book bag on the hill, but I don't know if that was because he killed someone or if that was his teammate. So I didn't want to make assumptions. I just wanted to play it safe. I didn't want to get murdered. And then now I'm looping back to the book bag to see what's in the book bag, right? There's a handful of things in the book bag. A couple of the $5,000 grips, it looks like, and what looks like a couple of magazines, I want to say. So I just try to put everything. At this point, I'm just trying to stuff shit in here just so I can get out of the area. So I don't really care so much about the organization of it. I didn't care too much about the mags either. I'm just moving right out. At my earliest convenience, what I will do is take time to sort through the bag and do everything. But what I want to do is I want to get somewhere safe where I'm not going to get hit from like multiple sides, where no one's going to flank me, etc. Like if I was to try to organize that bag right there on the top of the hill in open view, I'd get murdered. The same way that if I would have took the time to try to organize that bag, the risk of me getting murdered would have been way higher. So what I don't want to do is get murdered, obviously. What I want to do is keep everything I've you know, taken from other people and what I've killed. So this is generally how I play, and I've got, you know, closing on 2 mil on Tarkov, and I've got every wall filled with guns and you know, scars and M1 SASs and all the you know, AK alphas, and so I definitely want to you know, keep everything. So like I want to keep the deagle. So right now at this point, now that I'm here and I know the glass in front of me is bulletproof and there's 2 doors, but I can see if anyone comes from either door, I take my time to organize everything, to, you know, like just organize the bag in general. So that's what you're going to see here is I'm going to organize the bag. Then I'm going to organize whatever's in the vest, just to make sure that I've got the right magazines in the vest. But you'll see that. As you can see, the organization of stuff does take a little bit of time, but I like to have everything where I can know what's what in case I have to grab something, or when I get back to safe house, I know what I am and am not keeping and what I am and am not selling. Sometimes you have to gauge the amount of ammo you have in one magazine versus another, and whether it's worth keeping partially empty or empty magazine that you can transfer the rounds over to another mag. So to me, it made sense just to do the transference here, even though everything takes a little bit of time. But I'm just trying to stay safe and keep all my shit and keep everything organized. As you can see, I put my M4 mags. I put them into the pouches here. And that's pretty much what I do. Just give everything a little once over. Right, make sure that the armor pouch. I want to. Was his organization of having those 3 all weird like that. To me, I don't like having the armor pouches like that. So I was just going to just reseat all of the pouches so that I'm pretty much good to go like that. I take my M4 back, and then I rock out. I like sweeping into research from this direction because this box here is normally not hit, and there's normally like a helmet or something in here, and then on top of the fact that the going across this way, and at this point I think I realized that I had the right helmet to put the night vision on, so I just put the night vision on the helmet. All right, just made sure that was good. But I like going this route because you go across the path, and then instantly there's a heal there, and then there's like about 3-4 boxes that you can loot, etc. So what I did was come through here. It looks like somebody already hit the heals, right? And I come looting through. It looks like I'm tracking somebody. But this also kind of gives me a heads up that I'm either behind someone or I'm just maybe late to the party. But I prefer this route than taking the ladder up, which I feel like exposes you a bit more. And taking the stairs is a weird way of going up, but I'd rather take the stairs into that section and then go across that pathway into the research building versus taking the ladder, even though the ladder may be faster than taking the stairs. I feel like there's more people watching the front side of research than they are watching the back side. Primarily because that drop point on the front left side of research. and everybody tries to watch that section to try to pick people off when they drop down or when they go to those 2 loot rooms, etc. So I'm checking the research, not the reception desks, because I think cards spawn there, and I'm just checking the clock. Like 12, 13 minutes for me is more than enough. I know that I've got the exfil point at boat. I want to say was exfil, but I don't remember. Yeah, a boat is an exfil point. I want to say that's probably the exfil I take. But if I had noticed green was open, I probably would just, after I do the loot rooms and I drop from loot rooms, I would have just went green and then left out of green most likely, just because I feel like that would have been the fastest way out, and least likely to run into anybody in the parking lot, but it is what it is. So again, just looting and just taking time to pick up what a lot of people tend to leave and just ignore for the most part because they're coming in specifically for stuff, and I'll come in for everything else and then just make the sales for the most part. So, I threw the Asval out the window, or I want to say I'm about to. I'm fairly certain I already did. I pocket the M4 because I like having additional M4s. I like playing with the M4s, just me. This is personal preference. But if, let's say, it was in a much more expensive gun, then I would pocket it over the M4. But if I do find another loose M4, I'll pocket it. And then once I've cleaned, let's say first floor, then I've cleaned like that conference room, then I would come to roof. The only time that I wouldn't come to roof is I would, let's say if I didn't have this tier 5 armor, or if I didn't have any decent armor on me, and I was running like one of the shitty rigs or something, one of the very, very cheap, like the cheapest $100 rig, whatever it is, I would go downstairs first to lab 4 from that main staircase that I just came out of the to the rooftop from. I would go all the way down there because those boxes, there's about 4 or 5 boxes. Most of the time, those are never hit, and I want to say a large portion of the time, the only thing that's in there is armor stuff. So it's normally like armor modules, a knife module, primary, secondary modules, but there's also sometimes armor there as well. And it'll be like the regular, like the that brownish armor with the side strapping that's like a bit exposed. It's got like that mesh. It's like open, but like one of the, I want to say, what's that, like a tier 2 armor or whatever they call it. You'll find, maybe that there. Or if, let's say, you come in with no armor, that'll be where I'd go to try to find armor in the first place. Yeah. And now here, I end up just salvaging ammo, salvaging parts that are still left over. I think, in all honesty, that the guy that I killed with the ump was the guy who looted this, because I did find also ump magazines around here. So it kind of was like the let me know that I want to say he was the one who was in here probably shooting other people and looting everything, and that's how he ended up with the night vision, all this other stuff. And probably also how he ended up with the ump in the first place. But regardless, I just loot this section. I would just loot this section, and then from here, I would leave and go towards extract, which would be boathouse. I keep the Glock here, and I keep, obviously, as you can see, I end up running for the Asval or whatever this rifle was. And now I've got an M4 on the right, I've got the Asval on the left, I've got an ump, and then I've got an M4 in the book bag. And that'll be my, that'll be everything I'll take with me on this exfil, including the tier 5 armor, everything else that I stole, the helmet with the night vision, etc., etc. So it wasn't a bad haul, and as you can see, this was my thought process behind the whole thing. And I kind of took my time on a lot of areas, and I played way slower and slower than I think other people would play, but I play a little more cautious to try to make a little more money and just survive a little longer than everybody else. As you can see, this is a full exfil. I want to say almost a full 45 minutes clock exfil time. As you can see, you know, it came down to, I want to say, within 5 minutes or something like that. I couldn't really see what it was, but 5 or less. There's been plenty of times where I've exfilled at literally a minute or less. You know, that tends to be it. But hope this shed a little light into my thought process on how I'm playing and how I move. Otherwise, just enjoy it for the content it was. Have a good one.